Welcome back, everybody, to A Certain Point of View, and it's our weekly recaps of The Last of Us. Thank you so much for joining us. We are here for episode 7, Left Behind, another emotional roller coaster, especially for those people who maybe have played the video game. We got the debut of Riley, got the story of Ellie and the flashback, and we're here to discuss it all. The OG crew's here. We got Brian, we got Jill, Molly, and Alex, ready to dive into this episode, which is just full of goodies. And I'm very curious about the video game side of it as well. So let's see how everybody's doing today. I'll start with Alex. Alex, how you doing?
Good. I'm enjoying the calm before the storm that will be tomorrow.
The next 2 months for you guys.
Yeah.
And Molly?
Doing good. I'm hoping that I get decent sleep tonight. But I am excited to talk about this episode because it had a lot of good stuff in it.
Yeah, it's a very cool episode, very unique episode compared to the ones we've gotten so far. Jill, staying warm over there?
Yes. Got tea.
How cold is it in California?
It's been in the 40s and 50s all week.
It's California.
Molly was saying earlier you guys like swapped weather with us.
It's like 46 degrees here right now, and it has not stopped raining in Sacramento all day.
It's been like sunny and 70s here.
I'm so jealous.
It snowed by my work, so that's a thing that happened.
Crazy. Global warming. Am I right?
Yeah, right.
But climate change isn't a real thing at all. No. Snowing in Southern California? Oh, please. Come on now.
Brian, how about you? Hanging in there?
Yeah, I did the dangerous move of starting my what are those called? Pirate's Booty, Trader Joe's things, and now.
Oh, are you gonna have a snack accident, Brian?
Yeah, you can't start those and just stop.
No.
What are
like these?
The cheesy puffs. They're like little puff cheese.
Oh, I've never had those.
Never heard of those.
Really?
They're so good.
Yeah, they're addicting. They are 100% addicting.
This was full 10 minutes ago. So, yeah.
Well, dang.
And I want the rest of it.
Brian, is that like hair on your hat or something? What is that?
I don't know. What is it?
It looks like dust.
Yeah. It's like on top of your hat and everything too. What is going on?
Did you jump into a fan?
Yeah, did you go into the attic or something?
Maybe. Maybe I bumped my head on something. I don't know. It is kind of dusty. I don't know why. I have it sitting on my my hat rack. I don't know. Don't ask me. I just got home like 10 minutes ago. So, yeah.
All right.
Broke up.
Well, let's kick this thing off. We have episode 7, Left Behind. It is the episode we've kind of been anticipating for a little while here. The flashback to what happened to Ellie. We get the mall story with Riley. And correct me if I'm wrong, it's the DLC from the video game, correct?
Correct.
That's correct. The DLC from the video game. We get Storm Reed, who is playing Riley in this episode. We get a little bit of a hint at Ellie's school life, and obviously a long time inside the mall as they had one last night together. Spoilers, of course, if you're joining us for this review. It did not end well. And let's go ahead and get into it. Everyone's quick reaction, immediate thoughts on this episode. I'll go back around the table, starting with Brian this time. Brian, thoughts on the episode?
Wait, hold on. I was not prepared for that.
Okay, Alex, thoughts on the episode?
It was good. It was maybe the closest adaptation of one of the parts of the video game that we've seen so far. Pretty much beat for beat, they did a lot of stuff from the game, so it was good. I was glad that they did not show what happened to Riley. Like,
yes,
the aftermath, that it ended the same way that the game ends, which I was like, are they gonna make this worse?
So they didn't show her like turning or killing or anything in the game?
No.
Okay.
So they left it open-ended.
Okay.
It's basically the same of just like, we're going to turn together, fade to black.
Got it. Okay. All right. Molly?
I liked this episode a lot. It made me kind of miss going to the mall in a weird way.
Mall arcades.
Yeah. Like, I just was like reminiscing the whole time about hanging out at malls with my friends, and I loved Ellie's reaction to like all the mall stuff, the electric stairs as she called them. She was very excited about. So it was really adorable to kind of see the two of them together, and it just made the end hurt so much worse. But I did really like how the end went for Ellie because in the flashback, because we see her rage come through,
Mhm.
and that shows you a lot and maybe sets some stuff up for future Ellie.
Yeah, it was the first time we saw her just kind of like lose it, because obviously she's now in the present day. She can be bit and she doesn't care. So, Jill.
I was very similar to Molly in the fact that I was like, man, I want to go to like a food court and like just chill. Like seeing the Panda Express, I was like, oh, that sounds so good, and I want to just go and go shopping and eat some food. Like that sounds
Dilapidated Panda Express.
Mhm.
You're like,
Yeah.
take me
I was
there.
like, oh, that sounds amazing. But no, it was cute. It was nice to see, Ellie experiencing something that, again, and I've said it before, something that we find kind of, so mundane. And it's like, it's the mall, but it's something she's never experienced. And I was watching with Sean during where she freaked out about the escalator. And he was like, well, to be fair, for someone in her situation, moving stairs is a really big deal. I'm like, well, yeah, like she doesn't know what those are. So it was just fun. I like seeing that all through her eyes. And although the entire episode, I just kept going like that meme where the two puppets where you're just like, now kiss. Like I was doing that like for the entire episode, and I screamed when it happened, and I was very pleased about that. But it was cute, and then of course it ended with heartbreak, as apparently this show likes to do.
Yeah, I was kind of in the similar vein of like, I wasn't obviously I knew the kiss was coming, but I was more so anticipating, okay, when does the tragedy start? Like, does it start 20 minutes in? Does it start towards the end?
This isn't going to be
Like,
happy forever.
Yeah,
It
like I was
happened really fast.
Yeah, it did. It all happened very, very fast, which yeah. Brian, are you ready?
Yes.
Thoughts?
I love Storm Reed.
Yeah.
I adore her. I think she needs to be in exactly. She needs to be in more stuff. She got a rough start with A Wrinkle in Time.
She's in Euphoria, isn't she?
Yeah, she's
Rue's
she plays
sister.
Rue's little sister.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's where I know her from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, she's a great actress, and I loved very much how at the end they said that they wanted to cast someone that could not only like match Ellie, but go one step ahead. And I definitely got that feeling from her. But yeah, I don't think I've watched a show in a really long time where I've just got like a pit in my stomach where it's just like I definitely a couple times was like just holding the breath, thinking like it's gonna just come out of the side, out of the screen, or like that, and it was very stressful.
I had the same kind of mindset of like anytime that one of them would turn around, I felt like it was just going to come running behind them, or like the camera was going to be panning on one of them and you can just see it coming towards them in the background or something. I like how it happened because it's set up for something a little bit more tragic, but yeah, that anticipation the entire time was definitely terrifying. Before we get to that, though, let's just kind of break down the episode as we go along. So the opening sequence is we see Ellie at school, and they're doing the classic run around the gym, do some laps, which is such an elementary school type of thing. And we see that she's getting bullied. You know, she's listening to her Walkman. She's getting bullied by someone. Riley was her roommate, and she's been gone for a few weeks, and then she ends up coming back. So before we get to them kind of running off in the night and stuff, before they get to the bourbon and everything, which I thought was a great touch. Let's talk about the school sequence a little bit. Jill, I'll let you start this off. What did you think about the school sequence at the beginning of the episode?
Fuck Bethany.
We all know a Bethany.
We all know a Bethany.
And she can fuck right off.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. She deserved those 15 stitches, is what I say. Like, I mean, but again, it's like that's a real world thing, unfortunately, where it's like, yeah, they're in a post-apocalyptic world, but they still have running laps in gym class, and they have annoying bullies who you want to beat the shit out of, which she rightfully got the shit beat out of her. It was definitely a good way to show that Ellie is definitely the outcast, and that Riley is her best friend and is like her only confidant, because as soon as Riley's gone, the bullies use that as like another thing to like kind of poke at Ellie about. So that it was a good way to kind of show that whole aspect, like the QZ. And I did like, I know we're not at that point yet, but I did like how the dean kind of person, that whole discussion, I liked that too, because I think that, but we could talk about that later. But fuck Bethany.
No, we can pair that in with like the school aspect of it all. It's kind of part of it all. So,
but I like that, how she was like, "Are you gonna put me in the hole?" And he's like, "Nah, clearly that doesn't work because you just beat the shit out of this girl, so we're not gonna do that." And
yeah,
he,
I like how the response is, "We've done it before. Like,
Yeah.
what? Like, it doesn't work with you. What else
Yeah.
are we supposed to do at this point?"
And I mean, I'm sure Brian can attest, but as someone who used to taught, like, this is something that teachers would do. It's like, okay, punishment's not working, so I'm gonna give you this is the real deal. This is like an act here. We're gonna have like a real life conversation. It's
I just put him in the hole.
Well,
Brian says, like, what's that whole thing? I'm gonna test that out.
100%.
but after a certain point, you can only give them so many detentions, you know.
Mhm.
So
I can think of many holes I would like to push them in.
I wouldn't say too much stuff online, Brian. You never know what's going to happen. So
I liked seeing
like to push
Ellie's
you in
little. I liked seeing Ellie's little dorm room with like the posters and stuff that she had up
yeah.
on like her side. It was just cool getting to see that little window into her life and how much she actually does love Mortal Kombat too. And then she gets to play it later in the episode. That was so sweet. But there was like a pinned picture of like a NASA
There's
rocket.
space. There's lots of space stuff.
there's
Yeah,
space and dinosaurs. She's
Mhm.
obsessed with both of them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
which was a callback to her talking about wanting to be an astronaut. So that was
Mhm.
that was cool. A lot of good music in this episode too. I liked how it opened.
That's such a prime mall like song. Da, 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 da. Like that's like mall vibes. Love it.
I did read someone tweeted that like it was kind of following Bill's music
Yeah.
things. Like it was 80s music, so it was like, this is trouble.
Oh,
This is
That's
trouble. And
wow.
I didn't
it was
catch
a 60s Etta James song when that was just the two of them.
That's
But
clever.
Take
That is
on
clever.
Me is a song from the game, actually the second game, but they used it in the trailer as well, like a slow down, melancholy version of it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Forgot
That's
about
very clever. The music, I didn't even recognize that. The music, that's very
Mhm.
cool. Cam brings this up in the chat, so we can kind of continue this conversation. The Fedra school stuff is completely new. That's not in game, although it's talked about but never shown on screen. So that
They
must have been a cool
show-
addition.
I thought they showed some of that stuff of her in some school in the DLC.
No.
Or
So there is a comic that shows Ellie meet Riley for the first time, which I have not read, but it's called American Dreams. I had to look that up. But that kind of handles Ellie in school. And then Left Behind starts, the DLC starts with Ellie asleep and Riley sneaking in to mess with her and then take her to the mall.
Got
That's
it.
what I
So-
remember, just her
Okay.
in that room.
Okay.
Yeah, everything about running laps, and I like that you called him the dean, the the officer.
I don't know.
I like that.
Principal guy.
And he's played by I don't remember who the actor is, but he also plays Pax in The Expanse, one of my favorite characters from that show. Another Canadian production, so that makes sense. But watch The Expanse; it's really good.
The
Coming
Expanse is
soon. The
fantastic.
Expanse Explained.
I'm looking up the actor's name, so just give me a second if you guys want to continue the conversation here for a second.
I like just how Ellie reacted at first, and then how her reaction kind of changed throughout the episode about her becoming a Firefly.
Mm-hmm.
That was a cool dynamic to show between the two of them, because she was really up and down about it all.
Yeah.
It was
'cause-
like sometimes it was a joke, and sometimes it's like, okay, seriously though, you might kill me someday.
Yeah, when she finds the bombs,
Mm.
she's like, "What are you using these for?"
It's definitely a roller coaster, because she goes from you're gonna be a Firefly to like you're an anarchist. Like those are bad people too. I trust you with my life to like, so it's this constant battle of like, I trust you with my life, but I clearly don't trust the group you're in. So what do I do? Like,
Yeah, and it's interesting they try to paint Fedra in a nicer light this time around. I mean, the dude is still the dean. I'm just going to keep calling him that.
Terry Chen.
he's
Terry
pretty
Chen is his name.
Terry Chen, yeah.
Yeah.
Him talking about how, like, oh, you can be an officer, and being an officer is great. Like, we stay inside, we eat well, we sleep well, but like, if you're not an officer, then we throw you out into the street. And so it's like, from his perspective, Fedra's pretty great. But
yeah, it did. I don't want to bring up the comparison, but it felt very Imperial vibes.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you're ranked up here with us, everything's great. But if you're one of those lowly lives, like it's gonna be.
If you're a stormtrooper, then that's it for you.
Sorry.
Well, she said she got put in sanitation based too.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I don't really want to be in charge of poop the rest of my life.
No, I'm good.
And
Brian,
I
quick,
also,
which other Star Wars character was put in sanitation?
Finn.
Okay, just making sure. Just making sure you knew.
What is that, an amateur? I not to jump ahead, but since we brought up the finding the bombs, it just made me very much like see that like naiveness of being young and being like, don't worry, they won't bomb them if I tell them like that you're gonna be there. It's just like
that's not how that works.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
Well, after the school stuff, and Riley enters the room. They go on their little adventure, and Riley takes Ellie, kind of through the city to get to the mall. And they ended up finding a dead guy in a passageway of where Riley usually goes, and they find a bottle of alcohol, which I don't know if was the smartest thing to drink, but and they take some swigs of some alcohol throughout the night before they get to the mall. And then we get the mall sequence, and Riley has a whole setup for Ellie going through, multiple different parts of the mall to surprise her with different things at the arcade and the carousel, the photo booth. So many different aspects of this. We can start anywhere, but I'll just kind of throw it at someone to start this off. Alex, I'll go to you first. Everything leading up to the mall and then the mall stuff. What did you think about everything that showed?
The dead body was not in the game from what I recall, and I thought that was interesting just to show that in this world it's not that big of a deal. Like if we turned a corner, right? If we were walking to the mall and we're like, oh, there's a dead body here, obviously that would be a huge deal. But to them, they're like, oh, another dead body.
Let's see what's in his pockets.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of shows
very
how
video game mentality.
It shows how Fedra is very like they don't teach you about like emotions and compassion, because they see a dead body and they laugh when it falls through the floor,
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah, they just like started laughing when it just like created a giant crater in the floor.
Yeah,
disappeared.
they're like,
That
oh, the
scared the
dead
crap
guy
out of me.
overdosed. Like clearly he's having a bad situation, and they're just like, whatever. So
I like that Ellie seemed to think that the alcohol was legit and not like homemade.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
And
And
on it.
yeah, it's got a label on it and everything. And then I remembered when Joel, in present time, when Joel like lets her have a sip of what he's drinking, she goes, still gross. So that lines up pretty well.
I like that with him, she doesn't keep drinking it, but like with Riley, they kind of keep sipping on it through the night, like they're trying
it's a
to be
girls'
cool.
night out.
Yeah.
Well, it's also that whole thing of like her looking up to Riley and wanting to impress her too. And you could see that throughout the night of her just kind of glancing at her and not glancing at her. And so definitely played into that. Yeah, I thought it was a cool touch. Obviously young kids, especially in a post-apocalyptic world, they're going to try things like that, especially if they just find it laying out of nowhere. I thought it just created a bond between them too, because obviously not playing the game, these characters or this character and Riley's brand new to me, so I need to see their relationship in different facets to be able to connect emotionally to what happens later in the episode. And everything leading to that point, they did very well in, giving us an emotional tag with Riley, and Storm Reed did it fantastic. I thought the two of them were great. The chemistry was fantastic. And that just continues into the mall stuff, which I love too. So
I don't remember how long it took you to play the DLC, like how long we get to know Riley in that part of the game.
It was probably like 2 hours, 2 or 3 maybe.
That's not that long.
Yeah, and also here's something that I thought that they were going to do more of in the show, but they didn't. Ellie taking care of Joel, you kind of flash back and forth, and both of the stories take place in a mall. She drags Joel to a mall, and then she's basically scavenging for medical supplies to patch him up. And it keeps going back and forth to her last experience in a mall, which it's fine that they didn't do that. But I do like that they kept it bookended with Joel, because it is the same kind of story of the end of the episode where Riley's like, we fight for every second we have together. And that's like Ellie relives that entire moment as she thinks about leaving Joel at the start and then comes back at the end.
She's both literally and figuratively healing wounds.
Yeah.
Poetic.
Which I would not be able to put a needle through someone. That's just
my God. The first thing that came to my mind was Jake probably is going, oh no, or looking away.
Nah, there's no way.
See, the first thing that came through my mind was going, is the thread thick enough to do that? Like, is that the correct thread for this to work?
You might want to double or triple it up, yeah. But
I told Molly, like, that was the most that it's felt like the video game of Ellie just going from room to room, tearing it apart, looking for stuff. I'm like, yeah, this is familiar.
That tracks.
Out of everything that he's in pain for, I don't think he worried too much about the pain of the needle.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no bueno. Okay, question for everybody,
Did you look
because
away when that happened.
I mean, for maybe like a split second.
Yeah.
Question for the group. The episode is set up to be kind of like a just like a little tour through a mall from Riley's perspective to Ellie as like a gift. What was everyone's favorite gift? Because there were 5 of them technically with the escalator. What was everyone's favorite kind of scene that Riley showed Ellie? We had the arcade, we had the photo booth, we had the carousel, we had the escalator, and then the Halloween store would be the 5th one, even though it didn't end well. It was one of the gifts. Brian, why don't you start? What was your favorite gift from Riley to Ellie?
Probably the arcade. Honestly, it would be the arcade or the escalator.
The escalator wasn't even supposed to be one of them.
I know.
I think she called them wonders, right? 5 wonders.
Wonders.
Yeah.
5 wonders. Yeah. I mean, probably the arcade, just because, like, it was thought out. Obviously, Mortal Kombat being something she loved, and she knew that, and they got to play it, and just. Yeah, probably. I mean, it's all colorful and bright and very much the opposite of where they are right now in the world.
I love that there was just money everywhere too.
Yeah.
I know, right? It's just like, okay, money is pretty easy to come across now. And then just the fact that she said she took an hour to open the slot machine, or whatever you call it, the change
machine.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, and she had to practice on Mortal Kombat to make sure she could beat Ellie.
That's fair.
Yeah.
This is the most unrealistic the show has ever been. I do not believe that anyone can pull off a fatality in Mortal Kombat. I've never done it. So 2 girls playing it for the first time. No.
I'm telling you, it is a little
Mm-hmm.
easier on an actual arcade machine.
It
than
is
on a controller.
It is.
fun.
Fact.
Wait, so
It's
you
like-
can't do an actual fatality in Mortal Kombat? That's like
Oh,
an
yeah, you
actual thing.
You
Oh
can.
no,
but
no,
it's-
I've never.
Apparently,
done it.
Alex can't.
Oh, okay, okay.
I've done
get up
it.
and I just like wind up slapping whoever I'm next, and they fall over. I
Same.
cannot do it.
Got
I think
it. Okay.
on arcade machines, it's like up, up, down, up, left, punch, kick. Like
That's
it's
still so much.
it's doable.
Yeah. You can do it. I believe in you.
Does anybody have a favorite wonder that isn't the arcade?
I liked the photo booth. Like I liked the arcade because it meant so much for Ellie to play the game, but the photo booth kind of gave them a sense of an experience in the real world that they wouldn't have been able to even know about. And it was like kind of like testing them on the spot. They were like, oh, we have to do something for this picture. And that was like really cute to see them just like have to think quickly on the spot of like cute
Mhm.
stuff to do. I'm sad the picture didn't come out though. It
Yeah.
kind of did, but
Well, they didn't get any picture in the game. It asked
Oh.
if they want to upload it to Facebook, and they're
Yeah.
like, "What's that?
What's a Facebook?
Just a book of faces?"
That's
Well,
awesome.
that's like it's like when they're like, "What's a screenshot?" Like,
Yeah, yeah.
what's that?
Well,
really,
so I had a question about that though, because were screenshots available in 2003?
Yeah. Well, that's why.
Were
That's
they a
why.
thing?
That's why it was in the book. That's why it was.
Yeah,
in
but
the
were
app.
screenshots a thing in 2003?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm assuming being that they were like born around after.
well, you can screenshot on a desktop
On a
computer.
desktop.
yeah.
So that
Okay.
might
I'm
have
just-
been
I'm just
what we were
checking. I'm
talking
just
I
about.
think print screen was this about to ruin the show for you, Jake?
no. I was just curious.
Screenshots don't exist.
It was the first thing that came to my mind. I was like, wait, screenshot? That feels like a
That didn't
very
even cross my
You
mind.
can do
that
print
feels like a very
screen
current term.
and then
but-
open it in Paint and
Yeah.
save it as a JPEG.
Yeah.
Oh, I did those for baseball photos that you couldn't download on websites, so I know exactly what that is. So, yeah.
It was fun listening to Neil Druckmann talk about the photo booth element of the game because it was for DLC. A lot of the mall stuff, they used existing elements of gameplay. Like you have a water gun fight, you throw bricks at cars. A lot of the stuff is things that you can already do in the game, so they didn't have to build anything. But he was like, we spent so many resources to make the photo booth, and
Aw.
so many people were like, why are you doing this? But it's one of the most memorable parts of the DLC. And then Craig Mazin was like, yeah, and I wanted to remake it basically shot for shot because
Mhm.
that
So
is
they were like the
quintessential
same
mall thing.
They were doing like the same actions in the video game as they were in
Yeah.
the show.
Yeah, merry-go-round, photo booth, escalator, the Halloween shop, dancing on the counter. I think that's everything they did in the show that they also did in the game. I think we missed like the water gun fight from
Got it.
the game, but that's
Yeah.
it.
I was panicking, thinking because I was at every turn thinking that the zombie was going to show up.
Me and
they
you,
showed-
Brian. Me and you.
Once the zombie was shown, I was just waiting for it. So
Uh-huh.
like my mind was going like, "Oh crap! Are they going to fall through the glass and she's going to like get cut and not be able to run away, or is she going to like have a quiet moment and all of a sudden it's just going to rawr and come outside like
It's gonna what?
rawr?"
Rawr.
That's the noise a mushroom makes.
Yeah.
That's why he doesn't eat them because they rot.
Yeah.
Rawr.
So yeah, I was very much like, "Oh, this is it." No.
They were making a lot of noise too, so that thing must have
Yes.
taken a long time to get up and get moving. It must have been sitting there for a while. Obviously, the mall's been closed down for so long.
I did think that was
Um,
interesting. It looked like it had sat down to die,
Yeah.
and it like
Yeah.
stuff was growing off of it, and then it heard something. It was like, "Whoop, not yet. Let's go."
That thing was fast too. I mean, I know that they
Mhm.
are all like typically fast, but he was just extra scary in like close quarters like that.
It reminded me when we saw it sitting down, it reminded me of Bootstrap Bill from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too. That's
When
what
he's
we call
when
that.
he's stuck to the ship and then he comes out of the wall.
It's good.
I was confused though because I thought they don't start growing into the wall until after they become clickers.
Depends on the person.
Hmm.
And I think it was kind of that was the only infected in that mall. And I think the fungus was just like, well, we're done here. There's nothing else to infect and I'm stuck, so might as well sit down.
There's no
Aw.
rules with fungi.
Take a nappy nap.
Which is another change from the game, because they just wanted to make it more like a video game. They get swarmed by infected in the game. And
Oh, so there's not just one; it's multiple.
they go running for a while, like it's a big action sequence where you're trying to escape.
Oh, I would have loved to have. I mean, obviously, it would have ended tragically, but I would have kind of loved to see multiple infected in the episode.
Now you can watch it on YouTube.
I'm going to now, definitely. Like, yeah,
Jake, you have to replay, or you have to play it.
yeah.
I'm probably gonna play it again.
I would love to, but I don't have a PlayStation right now. So,
Oh, that's right.
That's right.
go ahead, Jill. Go
I
ahead.
wanted to talk about, it's one of my favorite moments from the mall that wasn't a wonder, was the Victoria's Secret scene.
You can kind of call that a wonder. I mean,
Well, because like it's such a like, they played it really well because it's such a real thing when it comes to like young teens and like adolescents, where they're like, oh my god, who would wear something like that? That looks so uncomfortable. But as soon as they get a crush on somebody, the mind flips and they go, oh, maybe I could wear that for that said person. And you like kind of see that with Ellie, where she's like, oh my god, who could wear that? That looks so uncomfortable. And then when Riley walks away, she's literally imagining herself wearing one of like this cute little lingerie things as she's thinking about Riley. I'm like, I will admit that was so me. Like when I was like 14, 15, I was like, who the heck would wear this? That looks not fun. That looks like not a good time. And then as soon as I had my first boyfriend, I was like, let me go to Victoria's Secret and buy all these cute things. Like, I don't know. I thought it was cute.
Didn't Riley even say she was like imagining her in some of that stuff?
Yeah.
And I was like,
About it,
ooh,
yeah.
spicy.
I know.
Mhm.
And they both laughed about it. And then Ellie was like, well, wait a second.
Well, hold on now.
Well, hold up.
Let me
Hang
just
on.
finish this bottle and let's go in.
Yeah, the way both of them kind of poke at each other of like, do you like me?
Yeah.
And then they keep pulling back, where Riley will say something like that, but kind of like, I'm just trying to imagine you, like
Yeah.
laughing about
Yeah.
it. And
It's like,
when they're in the photo booth, Ellie, like, you can clearly see she's happy that Riley is leaning on her, and then she's like, okay, get off. Like,
Yeah.
I'm scared.
Mhm.
wait
Yeah.
a second.
well, it's even when, and just fast forwarding to when they kiss, Ellie just says, "Well, what do we do now?" And they just
Mhm.
kind of like joke around about it. So they still have that, even though that happens.
It's very
Quick
middle-
question. Go ahead, Brian.
No, I was just saying it's very middle school. Like
Yeah.
I see this every day, but it's like very much like the like dropping hints, dropping clues. You know, like, is that person liking me, or am I imagining this?
Yeah.
So yeah.
They need to send notes with a little yes or no or a maybe box to check.
It's only way you can know for sure.
Never put the maybe, because they're always going to put maybe. Don't play that game.
The maybe is for a not outright rejection.
Yeah.
I'd rather that.
Question real quick, and I don't know if this is in the game or not, but is there any more information on Riley's family in the game, or was it just as vague as it was in the show?
I don't remember anything else about her.
Yeah, because I know in the episode they just quickly mentioned that her parents died, that they were infected, and I wasn't sure if it was a little bit more backstory in the game or not, so I was just curious.
I got nothing. It may have been in the comic though. I didn't. I think I knew about the comic a long time ago and totally forgot about it, and then they mentioned it in the podcast, and I was like, I need to read that.
Got it.
Gotta
All
complete
right.
it.
Let's fast forward to the inevitable discussion here, the ending sequence, the one that the whole episode was about, where they both get bit, and the lead up to it was a little bit of a fight. Ellie originally walks away. She gets very close to completely leaving, turns back around, ends up in the Halloween store where Riley is playing music. Ellie comes rushing over because she thinks that Riley is screaming when it's just a dummy doll for Halloween. And she's playing some good music in the background. They're dancing, they're singing, they're hanging out, they have their kiss, and then the infected shows up and all hell breaks loose. So let's talk about it. Molly, I'll start with you. What did you think about this whole sequence?
I loved it. It's so cute to see, like just young teenagers experiencing like their first crush and like having that first kiss. It's so adorable, and for them to be able to do that in a situation that they can kind of pretend like it's regular life, like they're in a mall, they're playing games, they're doing this and that, and like they think that they're completely safe there, which adds another level of sadness to what happens, because it kind of comes out of nowhere in the middle of this amazing moment, and then everything happens so quickly. But I really liked just the look that they gave each other after they both like show each other the bites, and they kind of have this moment where they're just like, well, this is it. And like Riley's obviously a lot more calm about it than Ellie. Ellie goes on a spree of breaking every piece of glass in that room, which I would understand that. She just got her first kiss, and now they're both gonna die.
I loved Riley's response in that moment of like, there's more over there that you can break, just like
Yeah.
very calmly as she's raging through everything.
Yeah. The acting that what's the girl's name?
Bella Ramsey.
Yeah, Bella Ramsey. She was so good in that whole sequence of like the kiss, leading up to the kiss, after the kiss, the fight, seeing the bites. That was all really, really good.
Yeah, and Storm Reed also, just on the flip end of like playing a couple years older, and her just realize she has that line of, well, it happens to all of us at some point. It's just she kind of has that mentality after joining the Fireflies and doing what she's been doing and seeing her parents go and everything. Two kind of different ends of the spectrum. I thought it was done very well. And again, having no experience with the game, I see people in the chat saying that the Halloween masks were almost identical and that it matched up very closely to what was happening in the game. I thought it was done great. It was terrifying seeing that thing come after them, and you see Riley not be able to get like shots off. I mean, she's a 17-year-old girl who's only had the gun for so long. It makes sense that she wouldn't be able to get good shots off. And then
we also saw Joel shoot a clicker, and it just
that's true.
Chipped its head away.
Yeah, that's true.
It takes a bit.
That's very true. But yeah, seeing that clicker basically go full linebacker on a couple of girls was crazy. Throwing them through like shirt stands and all kinds of things. And in the moment, people may be wondering like, oh, how did they not know they were bit? Your adrenaline's going so hard, you don't know until the aftermath. Like you won't have any kind of feeling. I mean, people break bones and get bruised. They don't feel anything till much later because the adrenaline is going so fast. So it would make sense that they would not feel it in the moment.
Joel got half of a bat handle in him, and he didn't realize it.
Episode before, exactly.
I liked that they didn't show the clicker or the mushroom person actually biting them. So you the whole time you're like watching the fight, and you're like, oh god, oh god, oh god. Like, did the mouse get close to one of them? Like, did they get bit? And then of course they did.
Yeah.
Those things are sneaky. They bite really fast.
They do.
They'll get you.
This was the one, obviously the thing that I was like most worried about is like how they were going to show them get bitten, or is like, I don't know, Ellie's bite just going to be something quick, but like Riley's going to get like messed up. Like I feared how bad it was going to be. So to see it play out like this, I liked this much better. Because I mean, I'm not someone that wants to see a 17-year-old girl ripped apart or like screaming. Like when the toy started screaming, I was like, oh god, like it's gonna be bad. And so yeah.
This was, and even though it was very, very quick, this was much easier going than what they did to Sam. Like, like Sam was 10 times worse, and he was younger than either of them. Mm-hmm. Like that was way rougher than this. But I agree with you, Brian. Like because you and I didn't know, I was anticipating like, okay, this is about to get real bad. Like we've seen Ellie kind of hold this in, and she clearly has some trauma from it. how bad does it get? So I am thankful they didn't go too hard with it.
I really, really, really thought what was going to happen was they both were going to get bit, but either Riley was going to like turn quickly and Ellie has to shoot her, or like something along the lines of like, I thought Ellie might have to kill Riley. Like that's what I thought was going to happen.
So I got the impression, and I could be absolutely wrong, but we have this tease that Ellie has killed someone, and she said she doesn't want to talk about it. I got the impression that it's Riley.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just making sure. I'm putting it out there. Okay.
I think it would have to be Riley, and I was afraid that they were going to go further than the game did and be like, and now we see Riley infected and Ellie.
Yeah, because they probably just stayed together, and that would have been so traumatizing to see like Riley slowly change, and Ellie's like,
Yeah, Ellie's like, shouldn't I be what? Like her freaking out. And then of course that moral dilemma of, well, do I stay or I'm infected, do I go back to the
that's what I'm curious about. Like, how did she get picked up? Like, how was she found? Did she go to the Fireflies?
I would assume we don't know for sure, but maybe if we rewatched episode 1, but since Riley was basically camped out there guarding pipe bombs, I assume the Fireflies came eventually.
Yeah, because the first time you meet Ellie, she's chained up by the Fireflies.
In the same outfit, which is why I was asking. So it was not like it was within hours or days or whatever. She was picked up by them. So that's why I was curious. Okay, real quick. We did get a super chat from one Tim Sim. Wanted to bring this up. Thank you, Tim. Thought it was the lesser of the episodes so far due to having trouble connecting the flashback to Joel's situation that Ellie needed to save, but it was still good overall.
I thought it connected fairly well, just because in the end, Ellie has the gun in her hand. She's thinking, okay, quick way out, and then Riley has that line of like, we should spend as much time together as possible and cherish it. So like that connects back to Ellie wanting to do anything she can to save Joel, and Joel's like, leave me. I'm done for. And he's on that same dirty mattress that he is on in the game, which I thought that was a nice touch because I was like, ew, 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 ew. And like I said earlier, it's all about healing wounds. And so for Ellie to be able to take care of Joel and heal him, she's kind of like healing her own trauma.
I couldn't save her, so I'm gonna do everything I can to save you.
I think it absolutely connects back to the present day where Riley says we have to fight for every second if we care about one another, and Ellie cares about Joel enough that she's like, nope, not gonna just let you die. I'm not gonna leave you. She's gonna do her best, and we'll see if it works, if she saves him or not. But like that, I think it very strongly shows the way that Ellie is going to treat the people that she loves and cares about, and she loves Joel.
And she's got a temper.
She has a hardcore temper.
It's a little bit of a temper.
Hardcore temper.
Keep that in mind. Season 2.
Question here from Gordon. I wanted to bring this up. Do we think that we'll see more of this flashback down the line, or do you think that's it?
No.
That's probably it.
I think this series does a really good job of not showing like the traumatic endings other than the Sam situation. Like with Bill and Frank, like they didn't show, their bodies on the bed. They ended it like really, it was somber, but it was sweet. Same with this situation where I think the way they ended it, you can kind of put the pieces together as to what happened. It's a little open-ended, but you can pretty much piece together what goes down, and you don't need to see that. Like you can feel the emotional trauma from Ellie without seeing it for yourself. So
yeah, we got everything from what the game gave us in that DLC. I think we got everything we needed from that content in this episode. Plus, Brian, did you watch the preview for the next episode?
Mm-hmm.
I
swear to God, in the last episode, it didn't show it.
Yeah,
well, mine didn't, because I was sitting there like,
I've been hooked on ever since we talked last week. Molly, you brought it up that once this happens in the game, you start playing as Ellie. I am so hooked on that idea, and the preview clearly shows that it's all Ellie. Everything in the next episode is all Ellie, and I love the idea that they're switching point of views like that. Because a lot of shows would not do that. Like, they would not take the chance in storytelling, towards the end of the season to do that, and to switch from a 55-year-old man to a 14-year-old girl in this type of situations. Like, okay, like, yeah, they're basically just, they're showing you that they are the best of the best. Like,
imagine if Din gets hurt and we see everything from Grogu's perspective in Mandalorian.
Here we go.
Finally.
No,
Grogu's flying the N1, and Din's in the little cockpit in the back.
yeah, he's back there with a bandage on his head.
Shoved in a little bubble.
I mean,
there's some stuff in the. I don't know if we want to go ahead and talk about the preview for the next one, but that one looks real juicy.
So I'll bring up the super chat. I'll bring up the super chat while we're at it, just because I think it pertains to it. Can't wait for a certain prominent voice actor from the game to make his live action appearance in the next episode. I saw it on Twitter, but Joel's voice actor is playing an antagonist, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
He was in the preview quite a bit, but he will be playing. I don't know. I don't want to say what he's playing.
Yeah, let's.
But it's cool. Kind of like Jeffrey Pierce got to play Maureen, who was the Kansas City leader, and he was like the second in command.
Oh, Perry.
Perry. There you go. Yeah.
That was the voice for Tommy, and so I like that they're bringing everyone in to play a part as well.
I'm very excited for when Ashley Johnson shows up. It's going to be a very traumatic scene, I'm sure, but I'm just waiting for the Ashley Johnson scenes to come up.
Is she Ellie?
She's Ellie. Yeah.
So she's going to be in it too?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
She's also Pike in Critical Role.
I knew that.
And Chrissy from Growing Pains.
Yeah.
And that waitress from Avengers.
That she was supposed to be in a lot more things for. Voice actors.
Super chat here from Mr. Brandon Buck. Thank you, Buck. Just finished my playthrough that takes play in next week's episode. Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
It's one of the most memorable parts of the game.
Oh God.
Like, when we were playing back through it, I was like, man, I thought that it felt longer. I was surprised at how quickly we got through the winter season, and I was like, in my mind, that was so much.
And it looks like they might, I'm not going to reveal anything, but it looks like they're putting a certain twist on it that will be interesting and kind of new, but I'm digging it.
Interesting, new, and another kind of fun thing that could tie into season 2.
My head is spinning right now. This is just unfair.
I've learned to just stop.
This is like one of the only times that I'm completely in the unknown, and it's such a foreign feeling for me. Like, it's just so weird to talk about things and have no idea what's happening.
If you ever do find the time to play the game, I would love your thoughts, like having seen the show first and then playing the game.
Yeah.
And then you'd probably have time to play the second game before.
I'm kind of thinking of playing the second game when this is over.
I would love to, because that
you didn't even have time to finish the last Fallen Order game.
I did. I finished it last week, Brian.
You finished it last week, Brian. Nice job.
What are you talking about?
Nice job paying attention, Brian.
Wow.
That's why you couldn't do it this
is why you're not going to win tomorrow's giveaway.
Wow.
Well, it's like a 1 in 800,000 chance. So
he blew through the end of the game last Tuesday.
So this is just a quick side note with this, because Pedro's obviously doing stuff for The Mandalorian right now, but he came out today and said that season 2 of The Last of Us might start shooting at the end of this year.
Yes.
So, and that kind of lines up with what HBO usually does. They do a show, they take a year
Yeah.
off, and then
We're
they
not
do
going to
another
get
one.
another season for another year and a half.
So it would probably aim for 2025, which makes sense.
Mhm.
Jake, now's the time to start the POV Twitch channel so that you can play the game on Twitch,
I'll
and we
do
can
it.
all follow along.
Brian can easily do that. Brian, if you want to
Brian.
do that, you can start playing games for POV Twitch. Now you're regretting it after thinking about it. Huh?
I'll do it.
I'm just wondering. No, I was more wondering if my shitty internet would be.
I'll do it. I'll boot
I'll
Sean
totally-
from his streaming setup, and I'll be like,
Yeah.
I need this real quick.
Yeah. You lost your chance.
Maybe that's something we consider.
To be completely honest, I have thought very much about doing a Twitch. The only thing is, I like playing video games in bed, and I don't think I want.
Get one of those sexy avatars where you can have that face on the screen, and then you could just be in bed the whole time.
There you go.
Just
Yeah.
set your
Yeah.
camera up in bed. That won't look weird to any visitors.
Yeah, Brian, you can sit up in bed and it looks like you're just sitting down, basically.
Yeah.
He's got a wall behind you.
I've done watch-alongs in my bed. Not up here.
I have too, but I have a Tempur-Pedic, so I
So maybe that's something we ponder. Maybe Brian starts playing The Last of Us on the POV Twitch.
Okay.
Maybe. We'll see. All right. Any final thoughts on episode 7? Left Behind, Riley, Ellie, the mall. Any other thoughts that anybody wants to get out there?
I just think it's
love-
cool that they did the DLC. Like,
Yeah.
not as many people played that part of the story. And so the fact that they put it in there as if, like, yes, this is an integral part of Ellie and Joel's story. I like that.
Mhm.
Because it came out years after, right? Like years and years
I
after?
think so.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
It's funny to me that it's a DLC because, like, for me, I'm like, I feel like this would be something like you would need to know or need in the
not
game.
really. I think it's a perfect DLC. Like,
Mhm.
I think it makes sense.
Okay, so that's a question I have. Because it's DLC, Riley wasn't part of the original game, right? The story? Was she talked
No,
about?
but she is talked about.
She is mentioned. Okay. Just okay.
It was released 8 months after the game launched.
Oh, so not that long. Okay, that's okay. So enough people were still playing the game probably to
Mhm.
Yeah.
that makes sense.
But like, especially back then, that was just kind of the thing to do. I don't know if games still do that super often now, but they would have planned DLC. But
Yeah.
usually it would not be so integral to the story. Neil Druckmann was talking about how at the time, a lot of it would be like about a side character. So you would get the complete story. And like, you still, Last of Us 1 is a complete story, but then to go back and show you like, no, you're still going to be Ellie. And we're really going to fill in some story about her was
Mhm.
kind of different.
Yeah.
Does Fallen Order have a DLC?
Nope.
Would you want a DLC on Fallen Order?
I mean, I'd play it. I'm glad. I prefer that it's like, here's just the whole game. It's done.
Yeah.
They put out like a new game plus and a photo mode, but
Got it.
Yeah, I hate when Pokemon does it. It's
If they gave us DLC where we could just play as Marin and do anything, I would absolutely be down for that.
Which I'm surprised they haven't, because I mean, I'm throwback, but like the Arkham games, their DLC was Harley Quinn, and like you
Right.
got to play as Harley and all that stuff. So
And
like,
those are some of the most popular games of all time.
yeah, well, because they are they're like the best games of all time, pretty much. But anyway, off topic, but I would. buy
Yeah,
it.
sorry, I took the show off on a. I just wanted to ask. I was just
Off
curious.
topic.
I was just genuinely curious.
The only
there's-
other thing I wanted to point out was the hand holding at the very end was really sweet.
yeah.
Yeah.
Where like Ellie grabs his hand and he like musters up
Mhm.
the last bit of strength that he has to like grip her hand really tight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
I wanted to point this out. So the DLC was released 8 months after the game, and it was also released on Valentine's Day.
Wow.
What a joke.
Wow.
That's messed up. That is just mean.
rip the hearts.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap up this week's discussion on The Last of Us, everybody. Episode 7, Left Behind, the Ellie and Riley story. We have 2 weeks left. 2 weeks left of The Last of Us. It is coming down to the wire. And it looks like they're going to be 2 bonkers episodes. The preview for next week's looks great. And then obviously the finale, it's always going to be something good. So
I just
you can join us-
imagined HBO making House of the Dragon and this and being like, we're gonna fuck them over so hard in 2024, but just have nothing. And
Oh, House of the Dragon's gonna come out next year, Brian.
no, I thought they said 2025.
I thought it got pushed
Yeah.
back.
No, it did.
I don't think it did.
I think it did.
I thought it did. Or am I thinking Stranger Things?
I don't think House of the Dragon got pushed back.
I think I might be thinking of Stranger
Because
Things.
that means The Last of Us and House of Dragon would come out at the same year.
I mean, that happened. Oh, no, not this year. I keep
Obviously, companies don't care much about that with Book of Boba Fett and Mando coming out together.
But yeah, look, you can join us every Tuesday right here, 5 o'clock Pacific, as we discuss the next 2 episodes of The Last of Us. They're going to be some good ones, guys, so do not want to miss those episodes as we discuss those. Let's go around and do some quick plugs before we wrap it up. Brian, start us off. Where can everyone find you online?
Be Valsino on Twitter and Instagram. My book Cult is on Goodreads. Apocalypse movies in an hour.
There they go.
They know. They know.
Stop it. Sorry. Jill?
Jilly Marie, 2 I's, 2 E's on Twitter and Instagram. I'm excited for the month of Pedro Pascal. It is his month, and I'm excited for it.
It's Father's Day month.
No, it's Daddy Month.
It's Daddy Month.
It's our daddy.
It's your sexy, slutty daddy month, as I think it's called himself.
Just quick side note. Did anybody see the clip of Ash Crosnan
Yeah.
interviewing him today?
She was like, I'm sorry.
She's like, I'm not going full daddy today. I'm not going full daddy.
Said we may have daddied too close to the sun.
It was so good. It was so
Uh,
awesome. Molly, what about you?
You can find me at Molly Damon on Twitter, at Molly Mander on Instagram. Star Wars Explained for all Star Wars stuff. Tune into our live stream tomorrow night covering Mando with Blind Wave, and you might be able to win this little guy, this little something. So do that.
Are they fighting now?
They just got zoomies, yeah. Alex, go ahead.
Yep, Star Wars Explained. We're talking about the other show where Pedro Pascal protects a magical child. We'll be doing that for the next 8 weeks.
Woo.
And Bad Batch on Thursdays.
Oh, and Bad Batch, yeah.
So
Look,
say
he's
bye
already
to
forgot
Damon
about Bad
everybody,
Batch.
because we
That's
won't see
everyone. Fuck Bad Batch.
That's
Bye.
not gonna be the case tomorrow. Tomorrow's
Honestly,
Bad
yeah.
Batch is so good.
I think tomorrow's Bad Batch is going to produce plenty of conversation as well. Tomorrow's going to be a good day for Star Wars fans.
Love it. Love to hear it. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Qui-Gon Jake, Apocalypse Movies with Brian. POV, we are live on Mondays at 6 o'clock Pacific for our weekly show. And then again, Tuesdays here for The Last of Us, just for the next 2 weeks. Check out the Patreon. If you want to join, everything is in the description below. Again, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone who sent in super chats, thank you. And we'll catch you guys next week. Bye, guys.